talk this.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm your gaming host, Madelyn.
Where does that leave me exactly?
You could also be our gaming host, Emma.
Sure, I'm your other gaming host, Emma.
I don't know. I was waiting for a creative one to just pop into my brain, and it didn't, and I just went with gaming. And welcome to the save data memory card edition of our side quests.
Yeah.
Where we'll be talking about everything we've been playing for the past 6 weeks.
That is what we do.
So I was making my list for this episode, and at first I was like, I haven't played that many games these past 6 weeks. I feel like I haven't been playing as many games. But then I realized how long that 6 weeks are.
Yeah.
And that there were actually more games that I had played in that time than I realized. Because 6 weeks ago is like mid-July. Time just keeps on going.
Yeah. I have not played that many games this time. So why don't you start?
Right, you're more about depth than breadth this time, right?
Yeah.
Well, picking up from our discussion last time, so if you tuned in for our last side quest, whenever that was in mid-July, I had gotten just about 3 hours away, maybe even less, from finishing Final Fantasy VII Remake in that episode. And I really thought I was going to make it in time for that one, and there were just a few more bosses than I bet on, which I should have bet on more bosses. We love a good boss labyrinth from Nomura.
The last sequence is pretty rough.
Pretty classic, I think I'll have you say. You know what? So I really enjoyed, picking up on what I said last time. Getting to the ending, I still really enjoyed the game.
Yeah.
Light spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Remake coming. Although no spoilers that are really spoilers if, you're aware of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
But yeah, the boss ladder at the end was really reminiscent of classic Kingdom Hearts for me. I did die about 2/3 of the way through it before I got to Sephiroth. And was disappointed. Was disappointed to find that I had to go all the way back. But it was worth it. The trade-off of that one moment of frustration was worth the feeling of, this is a satisfying combat conclusion to the game.
Yeah, I really liked the, jumping from set piece to set piece, basically. I just wish maybe there were a few more checkpoints.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I didn't feel like I got that much out of fighting those demons, which you already fight 5 times in different forms.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel like I got that much about getting to fight them again when I was on the last one before Sephiroth and got killed. But whatever, it's fine. I'll take it. I only died once. If I had died more times than that, I might have gotten really annoyed. But I only died the one time, so it wasn't as big a deal. It wasn't as frustrating. But in hindsight, and now I've been watching Clickbait Boyfriend play this game for most of the past 6 weeks as well. In hindsight, the pacing on this game is kind of weird, story progression-wise. It's really fun to play in the moment. But now that I'm getting to kind of watch it through for the second time, I'm like, wow, the pacing on this is kind of wonky.
Yeah.
And I think that really extends into the end of the game quite a bit, in that it really relies on you coming to this with some familiarity with the story of Final Fantasy VII. And I have, light familiarity with Final Fantasy VII, to be honest. I know that Sephiroth is bad, and I sort of knew the whole Zack Cloud twist. It was there in my brain as I sort of remember that as a thing. And obviously I know it happens, what maybe happens to Aerith, depending on how things go.
Right.
But I did think that this game could have done a little bit more to explain to me why Sephiroth was evil.
I mean, to me, it felt very like book one of a YA trilogy is the thing. It really had that sort of feeling for me, which I really appreciated because I feel like I get, like, Kingdom Hearts, I guess, is a little bit like that, too, like a YA series. But I feel like you don't, like, it's not, like, something about the flavor of, like, good YA, it just doesn't come out in video games very much. So I really enjoyed it for that, right? Like, it's kind of messy, it's kind of weird, it's overly emotional, but in, like, that good YA kind of way.
Oh, absolutely.
That's really how I've settled on describing why it worked so well for me.
And I think probably why that's really hard for video games in general is that usually you have a gun, and you can kind of breeze through that in, like, a spy thriller young adult thing that, like, some of the adult spies have guns. But it's, and, you know, to some extent in terms of combat in more medieval-y young adult novels as well, you can kind of breeze through the gore of it. I think in video games, even similar stories often just get a little bit adulted by the fact that you do spend most of your time murdering goons. And
Sure.
you do that in Final Fantasy as well, but, like, bloodlessly. So
Yeah.
there's that at least. Yeah, I mean, is really my big critique of the game, is the pacing is kind of wonky. Not enough Chadley. Like, could use more Chadley. And yeah, they're just like, Sephiroth's bad, and I'm supposed to know that he's bad, but I don't really understand why he's bad.
Sure.
Even a little. Maybe he
I
was
mean,
a
in the
bad
original
soldier.
game, you only see Sephiroth for the first time, like at the very tail end of what this section is remaking.
Right, and to me, in some ways, that almost would have worked better. It would have messed up a lot of things about the game. I'm not saying they should have done that,
Yeah.
but in terms of just, like, purely plot progression, in some ways, again, I have no idea where this is going. Not just because I'm not very familiar with Final Fantasy VII, but because obviously they don't know where it's going. That was mostly in jest, but not entirely in jest. But I do think in some ways just being like, here's this evil man right at the end would have raised fewer questions and left me feeling a little bit less like, huh? Than this version where he was all over the place, but I didn't know who he was.
Sure.
But yeah, super fun game. Very, very fun. Really enjoying it. Wish there was more of the DDR stuff, too.
Yeah.
That was a dope dance sequence. Just the way
It is.
it's like,
It's really good.
Quickly Boyfriend didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
Well, he just found it hard.
Oh, yeah.
At the
I
end,
felt
Aerith-
like, I think that the camera swishes are the difficulty to it, because, like, if you just put it basely, like, you're pressing a button, like, every 5 seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
But they've added these, like, dramatic camera movements to make it a little bit more confusing for you.
It's true. But that's what I liked about it. And I was like, oh, this is creative how you've done this. But at the end, Aerith told me I had done a good job, and she told Cookie Boyfriend that, like, he had tried. So that's where the difference comes from, probably.
Oh.
Anyway, pick it up. It's cheaper than when I bought it. So if you haven't played it yet, it's worth playing. It's very fun. Easy breezy. Good stuff. Should I keep going? Do you want to turn?
Well, we can talk about how we've been playing Fall Guys.
I was ready for some Fall Guys. Yeah, you go first. Tell us about your Fall Guys experience, Emma.
It's fun. It's just a fun, like, a couple times a week or once a week, I've just been playing, like, a level's worth of games, right? Like, a level's worth of experience, so however long that takes. And it's just fun.
I thought for a minute you were telling me that you played one round once a week.
No,
And I was like, what
I
is
gain
wrong
a
with
level. I gain a level's worth of experience in rounds.
That
so
makes
it's
a
more
lot
or
more
less
sense.
depending on how far I make it, but the time is probably about the same.
Right. If you haven't been introduced to the lovely world of Fall Guys yet, because you're not a Steam or PS4 user, it's the latest, greatest Battle Royale game.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say minus the battle, but, like, there's definitely, like, the battle element is definitely still there.
Yeah.
Except the battle is not only with the other 59 jelly beans competing with you in a Wipeout-style game show. I'm wondering if that's really what I like about Fall Guys, is that it's just like Wipeout, but a video game.
It is. That's kind of the charm, right? Like, they're just kind of these wibbly wobbly dudes who look perpetually like they have no idea what they're doing. You know, getting smacked around by windmills and stuff.
I'm surprised that Fall Guys doesn't have a big... I mean, I guess they do have big balls in that it's the soccer game. But I'm surprised that they don't have, like, a big balls from Wipeout equivalent yet, and they should.
Yeah, I mean, the jump showdown / whatever
is literally the sweeper
version of it. It's literally the sweeper, yeah.
So you're not only battling the 59 other people, but you're battling the, like, wonky, wobbly physics of your Fall Guy.
Sometimes your lag.
And yeah, too. Again,
Slime Climb always lags for me, like, in weird ways. Like, there's been a couple times where everything around me has frozen for, like, 3 seconds while I'm moving, and then jumped ahead to where they actually are. So that's added an extra challenge onto that one.
Our theory here is that they're going to reveal eventually that sometimes you get the good physics and sometimes you get the bad physics, like at random.
I do sometimes feel like my input is more laggy than others, but maybe that's just how the servers are doing that day, more than
I'm sure it's just the
purpose.
servers, but there's also my theory. Just saying.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite... So I'll ask you then, do you have a favorite outfit that you've gotten?
I mean, I got the funny dragon head, and now I have a soda can head. I like both of those.
We were digging our owl one for a while.
Although, last time I played, I'm wondering if I, like... Because every time I played, I got, like, grabbed at some inconvenient time.
Yeah.
I played, like, 3 or 4 rounds, and every single time I got eliminated is because someone was grabbing me. So I was wondering, like, am I dressed like a streamer? This is a thought that went through my head. I was like, is there a popular streamer that wears this outfit? Is that why this is happening?
Or is it just because people are bad?
That's true. That's probably the more likely thing. But I was looking for some rationale behind it, and that's what I landed on.
Do you have favorite and least favorite games? You have to.
I mean, least favorite is probably Hoarders. The one with all the balls that you have to hit into your area.
I don't think that I've actually ever gotten that one.
There's like a ton of like soccer ball sized balls that you have to keep in your color area.
Yeah.
Which, like, the physics on the ball is already like kind of like it's not actually where it is on your screen. And they're just hard to maneuver anyway. So it's really just like, it feels like it's just like a crapshoot whether you get through that or not. I mean, you know, all of them are, but that one in particular, mm-hmm. I don't, there's no skill in it, it feels like. And my favorite, like, I do like Slime Climb, theoretically. I wish it was, like, one rung shorter.
Yeah.
And didn't lag so much for me all the time. I think I would like it a lot better then. Oh, I don't like the one where the things are coming at you, too.
Oh, the one where the things are coming at you.
The walls are coming up, and you're, like, on, like, a
oh, right, and you have to, like, run around and jump, yeah.
Yeah, because I always get stuck inside the geometry in that one somehow. So...
You're cursed.
Some sort of a curse on that round for me. But all of the obstacle course ones, I think, are fun.
Incorrect. DoorDash, and I say this, only once have I come in first. I've not gotten a crown, mind you, to be clear. Nor do I think I maybe ever will. But I've only come in first once on one level, and it was DoorDash. I don't like DoorDash. I think it's dumb. I think it's like, it's not... There's nothing fun. There's no skill to DoorDash. It's like, you just like, everybody piles in as soon as somebody finds a door, and you lose by being a person who's in front who gets unlucky and hits like 2 closed ones in a row. I don't know. The other obstacle courses, I find like, I win or lose on my own merit. Like, if I am so, like, God, I lose at the windmill one, like, every time. Like, I'm so bad at it. But, like, I'm bad at it on my own merit. And DoorDash is just like, okay, like, you pretty much always I get through this one, but, like, it's dumb. Like, it's not, there's no skill to this.
I really like the hoop one.
Oh, the ones where you, like, jump. I'm pretty bad at that, too. That's a theme for me with Fall Guys, is I'm pretty bad at most of the levels.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm great at the hoop one either, but I like that it's so active and, you know. Like, I like the Tails one, too, theoretically, but the grabbing sometimes is frustrating.
The grabbing is so... It's so bad.
Yeah. So the hoops one gets the appeal of, like, running around looking for things without, like, the weirdness of the grab. I like the match on the floor one, too, in general. I think it needs some tweaking, though, just because sometimes it feels like nobody gets eliminated on that round, and it takes a really long time. So, yeah. I mean, of course, other times everybody groups, like, on the wrong one, and a ton of people get eliminated, but it's either one or the other.
That one, too, and I'm willing to admit that this is because I'm in a 2-gamer household, but, like, that one is boring. Because if both Josh and I are watching it, like, we don't ever make a mistake.
I like to emote and hug people in that one.
Oh, that's nice. I'm always too afraid of a jerk who's going to try to push me off to get anywhere near anyone on those.
I need to show you my on the seesaws with the other dragon.
Oh, man. Don't remind me about Seesaw.
Where we hugged at the finish line because we'd gone through all the way together.
Look, I'm willing to say, though, like, Seesaws is a good level.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks. It sucks hard. But there is some emotional heft that goes into a run of Seesaws.
The dive makes it, like, 10 times easier.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about you giving us that tip and, like, how that's been a game changer here at Talk This NYC HQ 2.0. I also wish that Hexagon could be a level that I could play not in the final round. Because it feels like it's one where I feel like I could be good at it. I'm not, but I feel like I could be. But I only ever get there in the final round where I'm, like, ready to cry from stress.
Yeah, I always freak out on my joystick. My hands get shaky when I'm nervous, so the precise positioning gives me some trouble. But we should probably move on from Fall Guys, so you can give another game that you've been playing.
Yeah, well, wrapping up Fall Guys, so Emma and I played the beta at PAX.
Yeah, and we sucked.
And we lost there, too, and we suck now, so,
Did you lose in the first round and I lost in the second round?
I think it was I lost in the second round and you lost in the third round. I lost.
I don't think we made it that far.
No, we definitely did. We did not lose in the first round. That would be embarrassing. Okay. That would be humiliating, and I would remember that. Because I lost.
I definitely lost at the tail tag, not team tail tag, but tail tag.
No, I lost at the tail tag.
Okay, maybe we both lost together actually, because I definitely lost my tail in the last second of tail tag.
I've internalized that as happening to me, but perhaps it happened to you, and I've just blocked out my even worse humiliation. I don't know. Anyway, hopefully one day I will get a crown. Hopefully one day you'll get some crowns, because those Nier Automata costumes seem like they're gonna happen.
Yeah!
Oh, that's my last.
Little robot beings. That's so perfect.
No, what it will be is that the Fall Guys will get butts.
Oh, no.
That's what it will be. Like, it's gonna be like 2B's butt.
No, I think it'll be Emil heads, probably.
I mean, yeah, that's the boring Emil heads with 2B's butt.
Please stop.
That's my last Fall Guys question, and then I'll move on. What crossover content do you want to see?
I mean, Nier Automata is as far as I dare hope, you know? Like, that's just wild.
Dream big. Dream bigger.
Mickey Mouse.
Stop that. Not that big.
Throw him into the slime.
If there are Mickey Mouse costumes, you better believe that, like, that's the end of Clickmate Boyfriend being able to play. Like, it's just gonna be, like, he goes after Mickey Mouse. He's
gotta find his own fun, you know?
It's true. It's true. It's the meta. It's the metagame. Yeah, Mickey Mouse is a pretty good one. A Kiryu one would be fun. A Majima one would be fun. Eye patch. Jacket. Yeah. That would be pretty good. Speaking of which, nice short and sweet one to discuss here. So just 2 days ago, I guess, I started Yakuza Kiwami. I looked back at my notes. It looks like I finished Yakuza 0 like 2 of these side quests ago, which is 3 months ago for the folks keeping track at home, which does not seem possible. I just finished Yakuza 0. But, you know, I had forgotten that, like, I was like, I have to finish Yakuza and then I'll play Final Fantasy. And I started Final Fantasy a long time. It's crazy. Time just keeps going.
Sure does.
But I'm very hyped to be back in Kamurocho. I've only played about an hour, which, as I told Emma when I was playing it, means that I've actually participated in the game for about 5 minutes. Most of which was them teaching me how to fight and me being like, I know how to fight. And then the rest of it being Majima just murdering me. Absolutely. He's like, you're out of jail.
Isn't there a beginning part where you just have to run around the city trying to get a ring?
Yes, I got pickpocketed, and my buddy borrowed money from my buddy who thought that I was using it for a prostitute multiple times in the night. And then I had to get back before another guy got there. Yeah. So there was that tutorial part, absolutely. But then I went to jail. Right. And now it seems like maybe Nishiki is evil. I'm saying that purely from his evil-looking eyebrows and his, like, white suit in a cutscene.
Like, new slicked back hair.
Yeah, it's like, I think that maybe he's gonna be a bad guy now, which is disappointing, because he was a nice guy in Yakuza 0. Also really disappointed that Sarah put a hit out on me in prison, my bro, Chairman Sarah. Except that I think that he probably knew I was gonna kick their butts, and it was probably just for show. That's what we're betting on at this stage in the game. Which is good that I got to, you know, he put out that hit on me in the beginning, because apparently in my 10 years of prison, I did not go to the gym. Not even once. Because again, I cannot emphasize enough how much Majima just murdered me.
Yeah.
He broke dance on me. I keep trying to say broke dance as if that's a thing. He break danced on me.
No, it's a broke dance because he broke all your bones with it.
Literally. Now I have to go and like look online and be like, what happens if you win? And I betcha it's like a Leon situation where he just like kills you anyway. Anyway, Yakuza 0 set up Majima in a weird way. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It's a rough transition.
Yeah.
Of like, this was a character that had like emotions, and he seems to still have emotions, but there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
And I realize that's like,
put it.
I realize that's the character, but it does make me wonder, like, why did you give me this like sensitive prologue?
I mean, I have not played all the Yakuza games, so I know that Majima continues to be a character through them.
Right.
So you'll have to see.
I'll have to see the progression, because, yeah, right now it's like, wow, you really set up this, like, arc that was much more compelling than Kiryu's, and now he's just, like, ready to murder someone, like, not even Kiryu, like, ready to murder some other dude on the street and just, like, screaming all the time. So we're looking forward to the game, basically. We're looking forward to the game. I'm excited to be back into it. I think it's going to be weird to start the game from scratch, a game that I have a feeling is going to feel very much the same as Yakuza 0, hopefully in a good way. But I did get an item for having Yakuza save data on my PS4.
Cool.
So I'll have to see what that is. So yeah, so that's Yakuza. That was my most recent game that I started. Emma, anything to add from you before I go down my list? I have so many games. I can't emphasize enough.
I guess we'll just switch off until you're left at the end with, like, 10 times more games.
It's not 10 times. I have, like, 4 more.
But I both started and finished The Last of Us Part 2 during these 6 weeks.
Woo!
Yeah. I'm glad I played it for myself. Because I think it's a very interesting, messy game.
Give us your hot takes. I know you have hot takes about how this game would have been better constructed.
Well, no, I was just thinking about it. It was just like a thought exercise. This is how I started with my Trails of Cold Steel video, too. But I don't think I will make a video for The Last of Us Part 2.
That seems like the best for the best.
Don't hate myself. Maybe I'll write a blog post. That's safer. But, so, big spoilers for The Last of Us Part 2. I'll just put that out there because it's still pretty new. Time goes on, as you said.
Yeah.
But, so there's a major perspective shift halfway through The Last of Us Part 2, which at that point is like 15 hours into it, in which you change from playing Ellie to playing the character. Do you care about spoilers?
Well, I now know who it's gonna. The fact that you've told me there's a perspective shift tells me I know exactly who it's gonna be. It's fine. Go on.
Okay, you shift to the character who killed Joel near the start. What are you doing?
I'm trying to demonstrate.
Buff girl, yes, the buff girl. Madelyn was just flexing at me through the camera for everybody listening at home. But you switch to Abby is her name about halfway through. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, curious, because one, this would shorten the game, and it absolutely needs to be shortened. I do think it is too long. But I was curious how it'd be if you just played Ellie up into the part where she goes after Abby, like until Joel dies, and then like the conclusion of that, and then played Abby's like a slightly longer version of Abby's story. And then when you switch back to Ellie in this game, include that part. I was just curious about that. I was like, one, I think Naughty Dog would have been even more battered by fans if they had done that.
I know, just been like, you're going to play as a totally new woman character.
Yeah. But as much as I really do like Ellie, and I really like Ellie and Dina's relationship in the first part. But a lot of the first part feels kind of unnecessary for me as a player, because I'm already, like, I think it expects you to be madder when Joel dies, I guess. Like, personally mad, and, like, I wasn't. Like, of course it's sad, right? It's a sad situation. But, like, I was never on board, like, as a person with, like, Ellie's revenge plot, right? So all the points where they're like, well, maybe she's going too far now. I was like, well, maybe she went too far when she got on the horse and left Jackson. Maybe that was the time when it went too far. And I found just Abby's story is mostly about, like, humanizing her, I guess. But it's kind of unrelated to Ellie's story in major ways. And I think that it could have used more room. It's more of a parallel of the first game story, I guess, in that Abby finds somebody who, like, gives her humanity back that she has to protect, in a way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If you're considering that Joel's arc from the first game. But it really, as much as it works, I think it works, it just would be better if it had more room to breathe. Because it takes place, like, over 3 days or something like that, which is not enough time, to be honest. But there are parts that I really liked, and parts that are really interesting. And, like, you know, as much as it's a game that's not at the top level, at least, being made by people, like, of marginalized identities, it's not being made by... There's probably people on the development team who are LGBTQ.
Right, but the public-facing, prominent creative team members are not.
Yeah. So, like, I generally agree with the idea that, like, more than seeing representation, it would be nice to see people of those identities in major creative roles, right? Being able to tell their stories. But still, like, it's just something that's nice to see in, like, a big budget game that's meant, like, for everybody, right? Like, it's it's a huge console exclusive, right? It's a bestseller that just, like, features, like, a major trans character, and one of the protagonists is a lesbian in a good relationship. You know, it's just nice in a way, because like you don't see that in huge franchises in movies, right? Like Star Wars is like, well, look in the background, there's two women kissing. Look at them, they're kissing over there. It's just a nice contrast, you know? For as much as gamers can be awful and are awful about this game, it's nice that they want to make stuff like this, you know?
Do you think that they made Abby's arms so beefy in order to, like, direct some of the hate away from the queer characters?
Interesting theory.
I think they were like, we know that the gamers are going to latch on to her protein intake, and that's going to protect our other characters.
Oh, that's funny. It's meant to, like, be like a physical manifestation of how much she's, like, pushed herself for revenge before the events of the game. But maybe that was the meta of the narrative. I will say that, like, you know, like, whatever, it's a game where everybody dies, but some of its characters of color, especially darker-skinned characters, die in, like, particularly brutal ways, and this was true in the first game, too. So, even as I'm saying, like, they're centering these marginalized identities, like, they're lighter-skinned. So I do think it's important to mention that before I go too effusive over, like, look! But I am really glad I played it. It gave me a lot to think about. I think, like I said when I tweeted about, like, I thought this was more ambitious than the first game, and therefore messier. It feels very much like that, you know, stereotypical, like, sophomore effort, even though obviously this isn't Naughty Dog's sophomore effort, but it's the sophomore entry into the series of, like, it's bigger and more ambitious, but, like, not as tightly put together as, like, a really good, like, premiere feature of,
Absolutely.
Like, directors in movies. So I think I would have to say I still like the first game better overall, but there are parts of the second game that I think are better than the first game.
Well, there you have it.
Also, stealth is really fun, so I'm the silent killer.
That's the hot take. Well, a couple of quick ones for me. So for the show, I actually only played one game specifically for the show in these past 6 weeks, because I had my first miss with our 999 Maneater week, and then obviously I played Animal Crossing, which I will talk about briefly now, I guess, not for the show, but because I am still playing Animal Crossing. I played it significantly less in these past 6 weeks than I did in any other 6-week period since I've had Animal Crossing. That's mostly because of, like, life events, in that I visited home, I came home and my apartment was infested with mice, so we looked for new apartment and moved, and sort of through all of that, there was not as much time for my kind of daily 45 minutes of Animal Crossing, half hour of Animal Crossing. Understandably so. Although what a relief it was, like, throughout the mouse infestation, when I did have the moment to be able to, like, sit down and play Animal Crossing in my hotel, not with the mice, mind you. It was, like, kind of a relief to go in there and, like, be in my, like, safe village world where I don't have to worry about mice in my apartment. And if I do, they would be, like, my friends. My home. But yeah, I did manage to get lucky both of these weeks. These past 2 weeks, and sell turnips for a profit, even though I didn't play very much. So
I haven't bought turnips since the first time.
I just felt like there's, like, a Nook Miles achievement, and I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm on my last loan now. So might as well, and I got lucky both times, so I should not press my luck tomorrow, is what I'm saying. But I've also been digging the fireworks. Have you gone to the fireworks?
Yeah, just once.
They're nice, right?
Yeah.
I like all the new flavor text from the villagers, and Isabella's so excited, and I love my little flower.
Yeah, I do love those. Yeah, those are
fun. So I've liked that. It's sort of a nice little new magical event. That was nice.
And now that I have like the it's not a party popper, it's just like something where you blow into it and the things come out. I just carry that around with me and use it sometimes because it makes me joyful.
As you should. Also, despite playing less, I now have pictures of 4 of my neighbors. So absence really must make the heart grow fonder.
I guess so. I've accidentally given back my neighbors things they've given me like 5 times now.
I mean, I do that all the time. Sometimes I do it and I'm pretty sure it's not something they gave me, but it must be something I've like given them before, and they're like, "Oh, the third polo shirt."
Maybe that's it too. Yeah.
I do feel like my neighbors have been fighting more often. Not that I've seen them, but I will encounter them and they'll be like, "Oh, me and so fought. Like, can you get me?"
I wish my villagers acknowledged each other's existence at all ever.
I don't get it. It's been happening semi-frequently lately that they'll be like, "Can you take this present to this person that I wronged?" The first time it happened, it was a clown outfit. Like a jester costume that was the thing. And I was like, that's not an apology gift. But
that's very
the person took it. The person was, I think it was Ozzy. Ozzy was like, I feel better.
Okay, Ozzy.
It's been stinky. It's been my jock character who's been fighting with people a lot. Fought with Tex. You'll be pleased to know.
Good.
So I played Animal Crossing less for the show than for just like, I'm an Animal Crossing player now. I'm excited to see what happens to my island in September. Fall is coming. And then, actually for the show, I played Oddworld New and Tasty. I haven't played any more in the past week, but I am planning to. It's not... Sometimes I get games for the show and I play a couple hours and I'm like, okay, like that's enough. But for Oddworld, I do think that I'm going to go back and try to play more of the game, because it was fun. And it's nice little bite-sized puzzle things. So those are my two little ones. I got 2 more games to talk about, Emma. What's left on your list?
I have one more big game, and then I have my Black Lives Matter bundle roundup thing. So that works out pretty well.
So hit us with the TMS.
Yes, so I just managed to finish Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I almost gave up because I was underleveled for the final boss and I didn't want to go grind, but then I remembered the beauty of being able to change your difficulty setting during gameplay. So I just shifted it down to easy real briefly, and it made the final boss a lot more manageable. The thing is, like, it didn't adjust my strategy very much. It pretty much only affects, like, how much damage you do and how much damage you take. So, like, if I had leveled up, like, another 4 to 5 levels, I probably would have done this the exact same way on normal, but I didn't want to do that, so we did.
Only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it. But I had a really good time with it. It's not very deep. It's not trying to be, right? Like, it's just trying to be a fun, goofy time. And I think it pretty much succeeds in that overall. There are definitely a couple of times, like, it's about the idol entertainment industry, and, like, if you know anything about that industry in Japan, it's not great. It has some problems. And this presents, like, a very sanitized version of it, which, whatever, that's fine. Some idealized version of it. But there's a couple of times where, like, they presented, like, oh, Tsubasa can't act if she hasn't experienced pain herself, which is just like,
ooh, that's
silly.
That's some freshman acting class
nonsense. Yeah, like there's like method acting stuff, or Yashiro like mentions offhand like his extreme weight gain and loss he's done for roles, or like sometime when like the directors or trainers are being jerks to you, you just have to suck it up and prove yourself, you know? Like, a lot of stuff that's, like, not great, that's presented as, like, no, this is just part of becoming an entertainer. That did make me a little bit uncomfortable, but thankfully that was mostly few and far between, because there's mostly a lot of supernatural nonsense going on.
We love some supernatural nonsense.
And I taught Yashiro the power of friendship, so...
How many more... So I did watch Emma play a little bit this game, because we were together back at home for, like, the beginning of this 6-week session.
Yeah.
How many more times did he eat food and say dumb things?
Itsuki?
Yeah.
I mean, every time I leave, I have to go grab something to heal my party, so plenty of times. Yeah, so Itsuki is the main character, who is very bland guy, mostly. But he does have one particular personality quirk where whenever he eats, he gives, like, these purple prosed paragraphs about, like, how the food tastes and what's good about the food or drink and what's going on. And this actually plays into a couple of the side stories with other characters too, so it's just like part of his character. And that really helped to like make him more endearing than just the standard like, you know, nobody protagonist. Reen.
Oof.
Sorry.
There it is.
Just because he's kind of nothing, but he's got this like one quirk and he's so like just sort of inoffensive that it was fine, you know, like he worked fine.
I do also feel like my personality is pretty bland and inoffensive, but talks a lot about food, so relatable.
You would really connect with him.
I think so too.
But yeah, it was very, like, unafraid to let itself be kind of stupid, and I appreciated that. There are also a whole bunch of, like, musical performances, because your characters are in the entertainment business, and those were really, really fun to watch. Like, they're really well produced and choreographed, and the songs are super catchy. So every time there was a new song, I was like, yes! Which was a big incentive to do the side stories, because usually doing those would unlock a new performance for you to watch, which was good.
Well, speaking of games that are primarily about food, Emma and I were back home. We journeyed back into the world of Overcooked 2.
Oh, right, we did.
And played a bunch of the DLC.
Yeah.
We had already played some of it. We did go back to... There's a cursed hot chocolate level.
Yeah.
That we just... Like, we had only gotten 1 star on last time. We played a bunch of the DLC, and we were like, oh, surely we can do better than this. Like, we're doing great on these. For some of these, we're getting the 4-star level before we've even unlocked the 4-star level.
Yeah.
And then we did it. And several times. And... no matter what, just could not do better than 1 star.
Nope.
Much to Kevin's disappointment.
We just couldn't figure it out. Couldn't figure out the key to it.
But I had forgotten how fun Overcooked is. You know, the last 6 weeks, and we haven't gotten back to it because it's just a little too close to home right now. We've been playing Moving Out. And that's really fun. And similar, right? Like, same company, same idea. But I had forgotten just, like, how well-tuned Overcooked is.
Yeah. Well, except I have some issues with, like, the finickiness of where you're targeting. But
sure.
Other than that.
I hear you on that, although I do think that much as the Fall Guys wonkiness is, like, part of the game, I think that the difficulty in targeting is unfortunately part of the Overcooked experience.
I guess so.
Even if I wish it wasn't. I do think it adds a little bit of that, like, feeling that they're trying, like, that feels like the intended emotional effect of this game.
That's fair.
But yeah, so if you like us have put down, because Emma and I played through all of Overcooked 2, and Josh and I played through all of Overcooked, but never played Overcooked 2. If you, like me, have put it down for some time, they have a bunch of DLC. It sort of seems like there has to be one more coming based on how that DLC area is structured. But, you know, pick it up again. The levels were fun. There was some, I can't remember what the things were that we were cooking.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's been a while.
Smoothies.
Did make smoothies. I remember smoothies, you're right.
No, but they're putting out their, like, super enhanced edition for the PS5 and Xbox Series X at some point, so... I'm not so sure how focused they are on DLC right now.
I hear you, but there was space for one more, so I will believe that there's one more coming. All right, Emma, give us the bundle recap, and then I'll close it with one last game.
Okay, so I don't actually have a ton this time, because I've been working on one of the longer ones in the bundle, so I'll do that one. By longer, I mean like it's probably like 5 to 7 hours, but still. So I played Sound Dodger Plus from Studio Bean, which is basically like you are a little circle and you're dodging all the little arrows that are coming to get you. It's very like just shapes and beats, like simpler than that, like without like a story or anything. And also sort of remind me of like the hacking segments in Nier Automata with the aesthetic of it a little bit. But this one predates both of those. So that was pretty fun. It's a little hard on my eyes. I think I just have slightly sensitive.
All of your senses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like just with like lots of colors and lots of things moving on screens, I sometimes have trouble with it. But I did have fun with it, and the songs were catchy, so there's that. I played Ungrounded from Sarah Gold, where you're like this square and you pick up seeds and then you plant seeds and they grow into like tree shapes, and then the tree shapes put down more seeds and you pick up those seeds and plant the seeds on top of the tree. And basically like your goal is to get up to the sun by growing all these trees, but you get more points. The points don't really mean anything, but you have a score counter at the top by like growing out to the ecosystem into different shapes. And the different seeds on different levels are like the same type of seeds, so theoretically like you could learn which type of seed was which and like make a shape to your desire. But anyway, that was pretty peaceful. It made a lot of stuff that could be like looked like wallpaper, like you put on your phone or something. So that was fun. And then I played Plant Daddy from Brady Soglin, where you grow some plants, and then you grow some more plants, and then you grow some more plants, and then you grow some more plants. And you just continue to grow plants, and you add furniture to your apartment, and then you put plants on top of it.
A lot of plant games for you this time.
Yeah, you can name the plants, and you can study the plants to learn about their characteristics. I named a cave blossom because it grows in darkness. I named it Vanitas. And my Vanitas cave blossom is a real team player, has an aura of mystery, and is powerful with 3 exclamation marks, which I thought was funny. But I just you can just like leave it running in the background and it'll like do things and you can check on every once in a while. So I played that for a pretty significant chunk of time, to be honest. Because I just had fun like making more plants and naming them, and I started growing mushrooms in my shower. So whoever this is really just has their life is maybe a little bit out of control. But they like plants, so they've
self-identified as a plant daddy, so that feels like that's like that already tells you.
And then the last one, which I'm not quite finished with yet, but I actually owned this before I got the Black Lives Matter bundle, but I went back to it to start playing it. But I've been playing 2064 Read Only Memories, which is like a adventure point-and-click type of game, where you're a journalist, and one day this Rom, who's like there are these ROMs that are like robots that help you out with things, named Turing, who actually has like an artificial personality in the way that all other ROMs don't have, comes to you because their creator and your friend Hayden has gone missing, was kidnapped apparently. So Turing has come to you to help find their creator, basically. And so it's like an adventure game in that, like, you go talk to people, you look at things, you bring your spoiled milk from your fridge and use it on everything, because why not, I guess. But it's that sort of game. which it's very fun so far. I like the setting and the characters. I don't know if it was always voice acted, but it's voice acted in the release that I have, which is very charming, basically. It's just a very charming game overall, and I'm looking forward to finishing it and seeing what the answers to the mysteries are.
But when do you match up the numbers?
That's 2048, Mel.
Oh, no, I got it mixed up. How many times have the developers had to explain that, though?
I don't know which made first. This is a pretty old game, I say. Not like in relative, but it's not new.
Right.
And I think 2048 came out like when I was in high school, so I don't actually know which one of these predates the other. But it's called 2064 because it takes place in 2064.
Right. I mean, I figured. I mean, not that there are cocktail parties anymore, but it's Zoom happy hours. How many times do they say it? People are like, "Oh, what game did you work on?" And they're like, "Oh, 2064." And they're like, "I played that on an airplane." I have played 2048 on an airplane. It was very diverting.
Yeah.
And I mean like on a seat back. I don't mean like on my phone.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe you can play 2064 on seatbacks too, and I just haven't looked. Maybe you can.
Technically, I also did play Disco Elysium during this time, but I haven't played any more since our episode last time because I was trying to get Tokyo Mirage sessions done. So I'll wait to talk about Disco
Elysium. So what
Elysium.
Emma is saying is go back and listen to that episode if you want to hear Emma talk about Disco Elysium.
Yeah.
Well, my last game, I think it's actually the one that I played. I played it very close to the beginning of this 6 weeks. Is I started and finished Bastion on the Switch, which I impulse bought for like $3, either right at the beginning of the pandemic or like a little bit. I mean, the pandemic was still happening, but before it was the pandemic in the United States.
Yeah.
I think I might have bought it a little bit beforehand.
Yeah, Supergiant always is putting their games on pretty cheap sales relatively often, so...
Obviously, those games have already sold way more than they were ever supposed to sell. So, you know, good for them. That's what I'll say.
Hades is coming to Switch. I'm so happy. Sorry, talk about Bastion.
So I played it all. It was nice and short and sweet. I really ruined the pacing of it for myself by getting very into the missile launcher challenge that I could not win.
Right.
I had you try it, right? You were like, this doesn't seem that hard, and then you tried it.
Yeah.
Right?
And it was hard.
So I do wish, like, it was really nice. The music is great. It was engaging. I did not find it too difficult, which in some ways was nice. It was nice to finish a game that was pretty short that I did not find especially difficult. In hindsight, I probably should have put on more of the idols. My big complaint, to kind of bookend my games this time, my big complaint about Bastion is that there was not a satisfying enough final boss encounter for me to really close the book on that game. It just was like a slightly more powerful enemy than I had fought up to that point. And even though there was like nice, as much story. I mean, there's plenty of story in this game, but it's like a 5-hour game, so there's not that much story. Even though there was like a nice little wrap up to our story, I still felt like I could have used something that really put a bow on the combat and made me work for it a little bit more, as opposed to like I brought some weapons because I was trying to get some achievements with them, and I did just fine. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what it costs right now, but if you can pick it up for $3, you definitely should. I also have Transistor, which I also bought for less than $5. And I need to think about how I'm going to clear enough space on my Switch to download it. But I will probably start that one sometime, maybe in the nearest future.
I like Transistor a lot.
I really enjoyed Bastion, so I'm excited to play something that I assume is in a similar vein.
Yeah.
But so many games, so little time. So that's it. Wow, we played a lot of games.
Yeah.
Good for us. I really thought this time I was going to walk in and I was like, what have I played other than like Animal Crossing? Nothing. But I was wrong.
Yeah.
It was a good gaming 6 weeks, with more to come. So folks, if you liked this episode, you should check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and YouTube at Talk This Podcast. So follow us there to keep up with the action, never miss an episode, occasionally see other things that we're thinking about or playing, and also to keep up with the latest on our website, which you can also find at www.talkthispodcast.com. While you're on our website, you can read all about the show, see the games that are in the hat that I swear Emma and I are going to update soon.
Yes, I need to do that soon.
I'm just saying
there's like 2 games in there that we technically haven't done yet.
Neat. So you can see the games in the hat that we pull from for our main quest episodes every other week that's not a side quest week. And you can read about us and see all the old episodes, and also check out our blog featuring long-running series Clickbait Boyfriend, which, get this, I started working on today because I want to get her done. So if it's not out by the next episode, folks, you can yell at me. What else do I have to... I'm not really moving as much anymore, so theoretically I should be able to get it done. Very excited to finally close the book on Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind with Clickbait Boyfriend. And then also Split Screen, where Emma and I are watching Coffee Prince and My Hero Academia. We're a few episodes behind this in terms of actual blog posting, but we did just kind of get to a mid-season mark at My Hero, and Coffee Prince is always going crazy, so it's always a good time to jump in. And I'm noodling around with a couple of other blog ideas over here. Might do another anime recap, mostly because I just want to talk about Agretzko to everyone. And Clickbait Boyfriend and I are chit-chatting about a series, maybe, but I'll keep that under wraps for now.
Ooh.
Ooh, ah. Speaking of ooh, ah, if you liked the show, the most important thing you can do is subscribe so you never miss an episode on Sundays at noon. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online and on the app, Podcatcher, probably that's a thing, Overcast, Pocket Casts, anywhere you can find your podcast, you can almost certainly find Talk This. So Emma, for the good folks who are there clicking the subscribe button right now, what are we going to have for them next week?
Next week, we're going to be talking about Mirror's Edge and Watum.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got to get Watum. Oh, this is so bad. I was like, I'm going to start Transistor. Yeah, right, Madelyn. Nice try.
I think Watum is pretty short.
I know, but still. How many pretty short games can you be playing at once?
Many.
How fast am I going to get sucked back into Yakuza? Not as fast. If Kiryu's not running a cabaret club, then I'll be able to put it down. Or is he? Huh.
Or is he?
Anyway, folks, tune in next week for our thoughts on those 2 games, and in 2 weeks for another side quest, where I'll be picking a gaming topic of my choosing for us to discuss on the show. But thanks for listening. As always, it's been a pleasure. And Emma, do you want to sign us off for this week?
This week, I hope that your plants are powerful.
With 3 exclamation points.